Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Rainer and this is Rainier Books. Today on the 29th of December, it's time for another of these year-end videos. I want to speak about my 11 most anticipated books of 2022. Let's get started. I looked at the list again before I made this video. I looked at this list again that I made yesterday and the day before, and when I looked at the list, I said, "Oh my God!" And it's true. Of my 11 most anticipated books of 2022, 10 are written by women and 1 is written by a non-binary author. So let's get started in chronological order of the book's publishing dates. Number 1 is Brown Girls by Daphne, Palasi, Andreades, that will be published on January 4 by Random House. This is the story of Nadira, Gabby, Naz, Trish, Angelique, and it plays out in Queens, New York. All of these girls are brown girls. They are girls of color, either black or Latino or Asian Americans. And this book illustrates a collective portrait of childhood, adulthood and beyond, and is a striking exploration of female friendship. A powerful depiction of women of color attempting to forge their place in the world today, which got me a lot interested in this one. Brown Girls is appearing already next week. Second one will be a favorite to many of you who have loved the book A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, the Asian American author. Her new book, which is called To Paradise, will be published on January 11 by Doubleday, and it has 720 pages. 5 years after A Little Life, Asian American author Hanya Yanagihara is back with another epic novel in 3 parts, covering 3 years in 3 centuries: 1893, 1993, and 2093. The young heir of a very wealthy family resists marrying someone of his own class, and falls in love with a music teacher. That's 1893. A young Hawaiian man lives with his wealthy, much older lover in New York, hiding his past. And the granddaughter of a powerful scientist tries to solve the mystery of her husband's disappearances in a totalitarian state, and that is in 2093. What unites not just these characters, but these Americas, are their reckonings with the qualities that make us human: fear, love, shame, need, and loneliness. The great power of this remarkable novel is driven by Yanagihara's understanding of the aching desire to protect those we love: family, friends, children, lovers, and even our fellow citizens, and the pain that ensues when we cannot. The next book I'm very happy about. It has been 10 long years that the British author, the London-based author, Monica Ali, has published her last novel. Now she's back after 10 years. Now she's back on February the 3rd and published by Virago with 512 pages with her new novel, Love Marriage. And this is about Yasmin Gourami, a doctor in medicine who is supposed to marry her fellow colleague Joe Sangster. But as the wedding day draws closer and Yasmin's parents get to know Joe's firebrand feminist mother, both families must confront the unraveling of long-held secrets, lies, and betrayals. Love Marriage is a story about who we are and how we love in today's Britain, with all the complications and contradictions of life, desire, marriage, and family. Monica Ali, I'm much looking forward to this. Since I read Redhead by the Side of the Road by Ann Tyler, which was my first Ann Tyler, I know that she's a great narrator, that she's a great storyteller. And at 80 years old, Ann Tyler comes with a new novel on March the 22nd, published by Knopf in New York. This is French Braid. This is a novel about the Garrett family, about Mercy and her husband Robin, the teenage daughters Alice and Lily, and the youngest child David, who's already intent on escaping his family's orbit. Full of heartbreak and hilarity, French Braid is classic Ann Tyler, a stirring, uncannily insightful novel of tremendous warmth and humor. that illuminates the kindnesses and cruelties of our daily lives, the impossibility of breaking free from those who love us, and how close yet how unknowable every family is to itself. And Tyler with a new novel. I wasn't satisfied. I even DNF'd her last novel, The Glass House. But now she's back, The Glass Hotel. Now she will be back on April 5, and this sounds amazing. April 5 by Knopf, the Canadian author Emily St.John Mandel with her new novel, Sea of Tranquility. Edwin St. Andrew is 18 years old when he crosses the Atlantic by steamship, exiled from polite society following an ill-conceived diatribe at a dinner party. He enters the forest, spellbound by the beauty of the Canadian wilderness, and suddenly hears the notes of a violin echoing in an airship terminal, an experience that shocks him to his core. 2 centuries later, a famous writer named Olive Llewellyn is on a book tour. She's traveling all over Earth, but her home is the second moon colony, a place of white stones, spire towers, and artificial beauty. Within the text of Olive's best-selling pandemic novel lies a strange passage. A man plays his violin for change in the echoing corridor of an airship terminal as the trees of a forest rise around him. Gaspard Jacques Roberts, a detective in the black-skied night city, is hired to investigate an anomaly in the North American wilderness. He uncovers a series of lives upended. The exiled son of an earl driven to madness, a writer trapped far from home as a pandemic ravages Earth, and a childhood friend from the night city who, like Gaspard himself, has glimpsed the chance to do something extraordinary that will disrupt the timeline of the universe. A virtuoso performance that is as human and tender as it is intellectually playful. Sea of Tranquility is a novel of time travel and metaphysics that precisely captures the reality of our current moment. I will give Emily St. John Mandel a second chance. Korean literature has come more into our focus, and I'm very happy that on April 12th, Violets by Kyung-Sook Shin will be published, translated from the Korean by Anton, April 12th, by the Feminist press at Cuny. San is 22 and alone when she happens upon a job at a flower shop in Seoul's bustling city center. Haunted by childhood rejection, she stumbles through life, painfully vulnerable, stifled and unsure. She barely registered to others, especially by the ruthless standards of 1990 South Korea. Over the course of one hazy, volatile summer, San meets a curious cast of characters: the non-speaking shop owner, a brash co-worker, quiet farmers, and aggressive customers. Fueled by a quiet desperation to jumpstart her life, she plunges headfirst into obsession with a passing magazine photographer. In Violets, best-selling author Kyung-Sook Shin explores misogyny, erasure, and repressed desire as San desperately searches for both autonomy and attachment in the unforgiving reality of contemporary Korean society. I'm really curious to read that book. Then comes, I think, probably an American classic, possible candidate for nominations for different awards, Take My Hand by Dolen, Perkins, Valdez on April 12th, published at Berkley. The New York Times bestselling author of Winch, and her novel stars in Montgomery in Alabama, in the post-Roe v. Wade America. Sybil Townsend, fresh out of nursing school, wants to help women shape their destinies to make their own choices for their lives and bodies. She soon meets Erica in India, their children just 11 and 13 years old. Neither of the Williams sisters has even kissed a boy, but they are poor and black. And for those handling the family's welfare benefits, that's reason enough to have the girls on birth control. As Sybil grapples with her role, she takes India, Erica, and the family. One day she arrives at their door to learn that the unthinkable has happened. And decades later, the story takes up again. With her daughter grown and a long career in her wake, Dr. Cyril Townsend is ready to retire, to find her peace and to leave the past behind. But there are people and stories that refuse to be forgotten, that must not be forgotten, because history repeats when we don't remember. Inspired by true events and brimming with hope, Take My Hand is a stirring exploration of accountability and redemption. Many of you are waiting probably for this one. On April 28, Jennifer Egan is back with The Candy House, published by Corsair. It's 2010. Staggeringly successful and brilliant tech entrepreneur Bix Boughton is desperate for a new idea. He's 40 with 4 kids and Restless when he stumbles into a conversation with mostly Colombian professors, one of whom is experimenting with downloading or externalizing memory. Within a decade, own your conscious that allows you access to every memory you've ever had, and to share every memory in exchange for access to the memories of others has seduced multitudes, but not everyone. This is a novel with a focus on social media, gaming, and alternate worlds, and you can almost experience moving among dimensions in a role-playing game. That's The Candy House, which might be the ultimate internet novel that we have all been waiting for so long. But let's go to the non-binary author of my 11. This is You Make a Fool Out of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi, published on May 24 by Atria. Faye Adekola wants to learn how to live again. It's been 5 years since the accident that killed the love of her life, and she's almost a new person now, an artist with her own studio and sharing a brownstone apartment with her ride or die best friend Joy, who insists it's time for Faye to ease back to the dating scene. And this time Akwaeke Emezi has written a romance novel. They have written several genres over the past couple of years. They also come with a memoir next year, but this is a romance written by Akwaeke Emezi, which is based on a verse line of a song by Florence and the Machine from her album Hunger. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Akwaeke Emezi's vivid and passionate writing takes us deep into a world of possibility and healing, and the constant bravery of choosing love against all odds. And then, I'm so happy to say, but I have to wait so long, 8 months, 22nd of August, Herra Jumala, as we say in Finland. The Pachinko Parlour is coming in translation by Elisa Shua Disapin. I read her novel, her debut in English, so to speak, her first translation into English, Winter in Sokcho, this year, and now she comes with a second book called The Pachinko Parlour by Dawn Books on August the 22nd. It is summer in Tokyo. Claire finds herself dividing her time between tutoring 12-year-old Miyako in an apartment in an abandoned hotel and lying on the floor at her grandparents', daydreaming, playing Tetris, and listening to the sounds from the street above. The heat rises, the days slip by. The plan is for Claire to visit Korea with her grandparents. They fled the civil war there over 50 years ago, along with thousands of others, and haven't been back since. When they first arrived in Japan, they opened Shiny, a pachinko parlor. Shiny is still open, drawing people in with its bright flashing lights and promises of good fortune. And as Miyako and Claire gradually bond, a tender relationship growing, Miyako's determination to visit the pachinko parlor builds. Pachinko Parlour is a nuanced and beguiling exploration of identity and otherness, unspoken histories, and the loneliness you can feel amongst family. Crisp and enigmatic, Shua Disapin's writing glows with intelligence, and that we know from Winter in Sokcho. Can't wait to get my hands on this. And then the last one, number 11, is People Person by Carty-Williams. Candice Carty-Williams, a London author who has sort of swept us all to the floor with her beautiful debut novel, Cuny, a couple of years ago, is back. If you could choose your family, you wouldn't choose the Penningtons. Dimple Pennington knows of her half-siblings, but she doesn't really know them. 5 people who don't have anything in common except for faint memories of being driven through Brixton in their dad's gold jeep and some pretty complex abandonment issues. Dimple has bigger things to think about. She's 30 and her life isn't really going anywhere. An aspiring lifestyle influencer with a terrible and wayward boyfriend, Dimple's life has shrunk to the size of a phone screen. And despite a small but loyal following, she's never felt more alone in her life. That is until a dramatic event brings her half-siblings, Nikisha, Danny, Lizzie, and Prince, crashing back into her life. And when they all force to reconnect with Cyril Pennington, the absent father they never really knew, things get even more complicated. From an author with a flair for storytelling that appears effortlessly authentic, Time magazine, People Person is a vibrant and charming celebration of discovering family as an adult. And these were my 11 most anticipated books of 2022. I know that there are so many more other books coming in 2022. Please let me know about your most anticipated books. And maybe you also can recommend or anticipate a book written by a man, because my books were written by women and a non-binary person. Thanks very much for watching this. And I'll see you very soon with my top 10 list fiction of 2021, very personal, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. See you then. Bye.